Yeah, I lost my house to a landslide in Cyclone Gabrielle, and if I was buying a house now, this is what I'd be checking.
We're seeing a lot more houses being built, and we're also seeing the effects of climate change.
So the last thing you'd want is heavy bricks like this crashing through the roof in an earthquake, right?
Exactly. Kia ora, I'm Caleb from the Natural Hazards Commission. Living with natural hazard risk is just part of life here in New Zealand. And when it comes to buying a home, one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make, it helps to know what comes with the property you're choosing. Every property comes with some level of natural hazard risk. There's a lot to consider, but there are practical steps that you can take to do your research, ask the right questions, and be confident in the decision you're making for you and your whānau. So let's check out some properties with my colleagues from the Natural Hazards Commission and see what we can learn. Alex.
Hey, how are you?
Tell us where we are.
So we're at this cute 4-bedroom house. We've got a quaint little river running next to it. And today, not much water in the stream, but you can imagine if we've had days of rain, then this watercourse can actually turn into quite a raging river. You're standing on a bridge right now, so really good access into the property, but actually this culvert that runs underneath here can block up. And so when the water comes down, it brings a lot of those trees, foliage, sometimes even fences that come through with it. It can block this bridge, and then the water can back up behind it. And so it can create an even bigger problem than you would think. And actually that happened a couple of years ago, and this house experienced flooding from that. So the water had filled all the way up and through into the house.
Wow.
So when you're looking at a house like this, it can carry quite a high flood risk.
Yeah, let's check it out.
Here's the kitchen, the garage through here. We'll head out through here, we'll head out to the deck.
Okay. So some properties like this, it's so obvious that the stream is right there, right? But what about some other properties where it might be less obvious?
Yeah, great question. So they can look at their council flood maps. So here we've got an example, and we can see this is where we're standing, so for this property. And we can see these differing blue shades on here, which are showing differing hazard layers. Now, you can get these on a council website, and there'll be lots of information on there telling you about each of these layers and how you can interpret them. So some of them come from historic flood outlines, so where things have flooded in the past and we've drawn these areas on. Others come from modelling, so an area that hasn't potentially flooded in the past but could flood, and we've used modelling and information to predict where that flood water could go.
So it seems like I've been seeing more and more stories in the news lately about flooding. So is this getting worse, or just reporting on it more, or what's going on?
Yeah, great question. We're seeing a lot more houses being built, and we're also seeing the effects of climate change. So if we take this stream here, as we said, it's running quite low at the moment, but if we think about how we're having far more intense rainfall events, we're going to have lots more water coming through here, which increases the flood risk.
Shall we check out the rest?
Yeah, let's go. So what's all this moisture coming through this fence?
So not a fence, this is a retaining wall. So what it's doing is it's actually holding up the soil and the dirt of this slope behind us. And they're really, really important to a home if they've got one on the property.
So what do people need to look for if they've got a retaining wall on their property?
So you got to check that a retaining wall is nice and straight. It's not leaning over at all. Make sure it's not bulging anywhere. And as you pointed out, there can also be drainage issues as well. So if you're looking at buying a house and it has a retaining wall, make sure you get a builder in to check it. It's so important. They need to be well maintained for the overall stability of the property.
Okay, so if you've got a retaining wall on a property you're looking at, get a builder in.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Thanks for your time again. Yeah. I'm off to check more properties though.
See you.
Actually, this is pretty steep. I can just imagine water rushing down this in a rainstorm. Another thing to think about. It's really interesting to see all the flood risk of that property. Let's go see another one. So that last property, we talked a lot about flood risk, which is really important, but there are plenty of other hazards that affect New Zealand as well. And we know from history and our experience that earthquakes can be really, really important. So we're going to think about that at this next house. Property number 2. Driving up, immediately my eyes are caught by the red roof and the chimney. But let's go see what the inside's like. Alex.
Hey, welcome.
Thanks very much. What do we have?
We've got a classic brick and tile cutie.
Ah, really cute, yeah.
So if I was thinking about buying a house like this, what are the things I should be aware of?
Well, I've only been here a few seconds and I've already spotted some things that I want to take a closer look at. So, first things I spot, heavy brick chimneys. Brick components like chimneys or even the walls on this place, really bad in earthquakes. And if the ground starts shaking even just a little bit, they can just kind of come apart.
So the last thing you'd want is heavy bricks like this crashing through the roof in an earthquake, right?
Exactly. So when I walked up, I did see what looked like pretty heavy concrete tiles on the roof. And that's something else that I wanted to check out. Yeah, so these old brick and tile houses, the roofs are really heavy. So it's another thing I'd want to check for earthquake risk. These look all right, but basically another thing that if you're going to get a builder around, have them check the roof.
Yeah, for sure. I'd be quite keen to get you to have a poke around the foundations under the house too.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
So it's very important for homes to be tied well to their foundations. Otherwise, even just a little bit of shaking, they can just basically come off and it can cause heaps of damage. And sometimes in these older houses, the foundation connections can be rusted out completely, or in the worst cases, they weren't even there to begin with.
I think these ones look pretty good.
Yeah, you can see the connections between the timber and the concrete piles, so actually pretty good. These don't look too bad.
Nice. Not bad for an old house,
Yeah,
huh?
pretty much.
Yeah.
So if I was going to put in an offer on this place, before I do that, I'd want to factor in the cost of any repairs. So that's strengthening or fully removing the chimney and then checking the roof to see how it's connected and even the foundations.
So I definitely want to get a builder's report as well, right?
Yeah,
On
exactly.
some of those structural elements
Exactly.
as part of my pre-purchase inspection.
Actually, one more place you can look at is council maps. So a lot of councils have things modeled and mapped like liquefaction or even near faults. There's one nearby your property, so you can check and see how earthquakes might affect your property. Especially if you're in a high seismic zone, you can find all this information and know how it affects you.
Yeah. But all of New Zealand has some level of earthquake risk, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Especially if there's a big shake.
especially. So that was another really nice Kiwi house, but it came with all of these hidden natural hazard risks that we have to think about. So we've got one more property to check out. Let's go. No matter what property you're looking at, it's always really important to get the property file from council. It can have a lot of information about the property in general, but especially you want to look for the LIM report. The LIM will have any indication if there's a specific natural hazard that affects the property, and they can sometimes be really huge, daunting, kind of intimidating documents to try and go through yourself. So make sure you get your lawyer, your solicitor, or an engineer to help you go through it and unpack what's really important. At this next property, I'm meeting my colleague Andy and Tanya, a homeowner who has firsthand experience of the impact of natural hazards.
Hi Caleb,
Hi, Andy.
how are you?
Good to see you.
And you? This is Tanya.
Nice to meet you.
Caleb, nice to
Yeah.
meet you.
Come check out the property.
Yeah, I'd love to. It's amazing. So we've been looking at a few properties today. I mean, this is just amazing, the view. But then if you look down, the cliff just disappears. It's pretty extreme here, eh?
Yeah.
Steep one, eh?
Yeah, I think you'd have to worry about landslides here.
Yeah, we are seeing more landslides with increasing weather events, and they can be quite costly to fix, so it's really worth checking what the house is built on.
Definitely.
Yeah, I lost my house to a landslide in Cyclone Gabrielle, and that experience has made me rethink about buying a home and what I'm looking for. And for me, it's about land. If I was buying a house now, this is what I'd be checking. I'd be looking behind the house, below the house, checking the drainage, where the water flows. Obviously, it's about the house as well,
Yeah.
but it's about feeling confident that the land is stable so you're not exposing yourself to risks that you can't see.
Tanya, you mentioned you lost your home from a landslide. When it came to the insurance, were there any surprises?
Yeah, well, I was surprised to find out that my full value of my land wasn't covered and that it was limited, but I also acknowledge that we're incredibly lucky to have cover.
So it's another good tip for potential home buyers and homeowners, right? Just understand what exactly they are or not insured for.
Yeah, definitely.
Great advice.
Yeah.
Another great tool that potential home buyers can use is the Natural Hazards Portal. So the portal shows settled natural hazards insurance claims back to 1997. And it's a great way to check if there's been a settled claim on your property. The settled claim can be a great way to get clues of how a property might be affected in the future. You know, sometimes great coastal views can actually mean that you're in a tsunami zone. Now, tsunami is a risk that some people are willing to accept, especially if they really know their evacuation routes or if they know what preparedness looks like. But to others, it's a deal breaker. Everyone's tolerance to natural hazard risk is different, and that's okay. So the next time you go to an open home, look beyond what just makes it beautiful on the surface and actually look at what's happening at the property, what's happening with the site. By doing your research, by asking the right questions, getting your hands on the property file, and reading through it with a lawyer or an engineer. The more you know, the more confident you can be in the decision you make for you and your fauna.